Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. Let's dig in. Here's what's been going on in Russia in the last 24 hours. This week, Russia's reliance on China is on full display. Vladimir Putin visited Beijing, seeking progress on energy and economic cooperation, including the Power of Siberia-2 pipeline. While the project remains under negotiation, updates indicate ongoing debates over pricing and construction timing. China's position is clear. They hold leverage. With large volumes of discounted Russian oil and gas already purchased, Moscow's agenda underscores just how much it depends on Beijing to support its economy and sustain the war effort in Ukraine. Beyond energy, the summit reinforced a shared diplomatic posture. Xi called for an end to hostilities in the Middle East and framed China-Russia relations as a model for multipolar cooperation. Both leaders criticized U.S. nuclear and missile defense policy, projecting a narrative of Western destabilization and promoting long-term strategic coordination across diplomacy, economics, and military planning. Russia's military signaling continues in parallel. Nuclear exercises spanning Russia and Belarus are underway, involving tens of thousands of personnel and diverse strategic assets. Recent updates emphasize that tactical rehearsals in Belarus remain active, demonstrating Moscow's continued willingness to project nuclear readiness in a high-stakes messaging campaign toward NATO. The exercises also highlight the contrast between this show of force and ongoing constraints Russian forces face on the battlefield in Ukraine. NATO vigilance remains high. Earlier reports of Ukrainian drones straying into Estonian airspace have been confirmed and further clarified. Romanian F-16s intervened to neutralize potential threats with minimal risk to civilians. Latvia lifted a temporary alert after verification of no incursion. While Moscow maintains that Ukraine is using Baltic territory for attacks, the Baltic states, supported by NATO and U.S. reassurances, reject these claims. This ongoing airspace monitoring demonstrates how Allied readiness and coordination mitigate escalation risk despite persistent Russian disinformation campaigns. Ukraine continues to pressure Russia economically through its air operations. Updated reports show strikes on Russian energy infrastructure, including facilities in Kostovo and the Yaroslavl region. Fires and damage have impacted operational capacity and added to financial strain, as some Russian banks experience liquidity stress and the federal budget deficit grows. The improved precision and reach of Ukraine's drones allows Kyiv to sustain pressure across multiple axes, disrupting Russian logistics and energy operations in both tactical and strategic ways. Meanwhile, Western sanctions and economic measures are seeing subtle evolution. The UK has implemented a short-term waiver for diesel and jet fuel refined from Russian crude abroad, effective May 20th, designed to stabilize domestic fuel supply amid disruptions in the Middle East. Critics argue these measures still provide a financial lifeline to Moscow. Observers are closely watching how the balancing act between maintaining pressure on Russia while preventing domestic energy shortages plays out in the coming weeks. Domestic developments inside Russia are also noteworthy. Reports highlight ongoing personnel reshuffles in the State Duma, including the potential replacement of Andrei Kartopolov with Colonel General Alexander Lapin as chair of the Defense Committee. Meanwhile, human rights ombudswoman Yana Lantratova has been endorsed despite lingering controversy. Environmental and social pressures continue to build as Ukrainian strikes on Black Sea oil infrastructure near Tuapse generate pollution and public concern. Internal divisions among Cossack groups, with some aligning with Kyiv, underscore fissures within Moscow-aligned civil-military organizations. Central Asia continues to show strategic recalibration. Turkey's engagement with Kazakhstan and other Turkic states is expanding, strengthening trade corridors and regional partnerships. While Moscow is concerned, today's reporting suggests these moves reflect durable shifts in political and economic alignment in Central Asia. The rhetoric about a century of the Turkic world signals more than symbolism. It indicates realignment that could gradually limit Russian influence in the region over time. Diplomatically, Kyiv is steadily reinforcing its European support base. The EU signed a memorandum of understanding for macro-financial assistance, potentially unlocking €3.2 billion in mid-June, prioritizing military spending. Hungary and Ukraine have initiated expert-level consultations, particularly focusing on minority rights and EU accession, signaling a strategic reset in bilateral ties. These slower-moving developments complement Kiev's operational successes by shoring up long-term international support. On the battlefield, Ukraine continues to leverage precision and operational reach without getting bogged down in counting drones or missiles. Selective gains have been made, including territorial advances that disrupt Russian logistics and complicate energy operations. Russian forces remain constrained, facing both the direct effects of Ukraine's strikes and indirect pressure from disrupted supply chains and local discontent. Ukraine's adaptation to modern warfare continues to stand out. The country is scaling up integrated air defense systems, combining AI, sensors, and private sector contributions. Interceptor drones are produced in the thousands each day, providing cost-effective coverage against Russian UAVs. Ground-based unmanned vehicles are helping evacuate wounded from contested areas, further reducing personnel exposure. These innovations show how Ukraine is combining technology and ingenuity to offset material disparities and maintain initiative. Personnel dynamics in Moscow are also shaping operational effectiveness. Loyalist appointments continue to outweigh technical expertise, with key command roles filled for political reliability rather than proficiency. This approach preserves elite control but leaves systemic gaps, particularly in air defense and protection of critical infrastructure. Ukraine's ongoing operational pressure exploits these vulnerabilities while continuing to expand the effectiveness of its precision campaigns. Russia's push for digital sovereignty remains a long-term project with mixed results. Astra Linux dominates the domestic software market, but hardware development is hampered by production challenges and engineering bottlenecks. Plans for a new state enterprise with significant subsidies indicate Moscow's awareness of the gap, but industrial and technical limitations persist. This continues to shape both strategic resilience and operational capacity, particularly as sanctions restrict access to Western technology. Finally, Russia continues to project influence globally beyond Europe. Moscow reaffirmed support for Cuba amid rising U.S. pressure, using political alignment and messaging to counter Washington. In Eurasia, stalled Chinese-backed developments at Georgia's Anaklia port highlight ongoing competition for strategic corridors. These moves demonstrate Moscow's attempt to maintain regional influence, while Kiev, NATO, and Western partners apply pressure both militarily and economically. Thanks for listening and for being part of this community. If you want to support the show, leaving a review or a thoughtful comment helps others discover it. We also share a daily written intel brief on Substack, restrictedhandling.substack.com, where we go deeper on Russia and China, along with broader coverage of Iran, the Middle East, and the DPRK. Wishing you a great day ahead.